I stared at the document in my hands, the paper trembling so violently that the words blurred before my eyes. The only sound in the massive, empty living room was the grandfather clock ticking. Tick-tock, tick-tock, counting down the seconds of my old life. It wasn't just a bank statement. It was a receipt for a diamond necklace worth $80,000. My stomach churned, a cold, acidic wave rising in my throat. My husband, Alistair, had told me just 2 days ago that we were liquidity poor. He had looked me in the eye, his face a mask of tragic concern, and told me we might lose the house if we didn't sign the post-nuptial agreement he'd drafted for our protection. He said we were broke. But the date on this receipt was from yesterday, and the delivery address wasn't our home. It was an apartment in the city center, an apartment I didn't know existed, leased under a company name I'd never heard of. Suddenly, the front door clicked. The heavy oak door groaned as it opened. "Genevieve?" Alistair's voice floated through the hallway, smooth as silk, carrying that familiar tone of arrogant confidence. "Darling, are you home? I brought the notary. We need to get those signatures done tonight." I squeezed the paper in my fist until my knuckles turned white. The air smelled of his expensive cologne, sandalwood, and betrayal. I wasn't going to sign anything. Tonight, I wasn't the dutiful wife anymore. Tonight, the war began. To understand how I ended up standing in my foyer, clutching evidence of my husband's double life while he walked in with a notary to sign away my future, you have to understand who we were. Or rather, who I thought we were. My name is Genevieve. I am 42 years old, and for the last 15 years, I believed I was living a fairy tale. I met Alistair when I was 27. He was older, charismatic, with a smile that could disarm a bomb squad. He was in real estate development. I was an interior designer. We were a power couple. We built an empire together, quite literally. Our home, the Celestial Manor, was the crown jewel of our achievements. It was a sprawling estate on the edge of the city, with floor-to-ceiling windows, marble imported from Italy, and a garden that smelled of jasmine and honeysuckle in the summer. I had designed every inch of it. Every curtain, every tile, every light fixture was a piece of my soul. It wasn't just property, it was my identity. For years, our life was a whirlwind of galas, charity auctions, and vacations in the Maldives. Alistair was the face of the business, charming the investors, shaking the hands, while I was the backbone. I managed the renovations, I staged the properties, and I used a significant portion of my inheritance from my grandmother, Beatrice, to fund his initial ventures when the banks turned their backs on him. I trusted him. That was my first mistake. I trusted him with my heart, my body, and my bank account. The shift didn't happen overnight. It was subtle, like a crack in a windshield that starts small and spiders out until the whole thing is ready to shatter. It started about 6 months ago. Alistair became elusive. He had always worked late, but this was different. He stopped answering his phone after 8 p.m. He started taking showers immediately upon coming home, scrubbing his skin raw, as if trying to wash away the day, or someone else's scent. One Tuesday evening in November, the rain was lashing against the panoramic windows of our dining room. The sound was rhythmic, hypnotic. I had prepared a roast lamb with rosemary, his favorite. The smell of the herbs filled the kitchen, usually a scent that brought comfort, but that night it felt cloying. Alistair pushed the food around his plate. He looked gray, his usually vibrant eyes dull and shifting. "Is something wrong with the lamb?" I asked, sipping my wine. It was a heavy Cabernet, dark like blood. He dropped his fork. It clattered loudly against the fine china, making me jump. "It's not the lamb, Genevieve. It's the market. It's crashing. I frowned. The market? But you just closed the deal on the Riverside project. That's the problem, he snapped, his voice unusually sharp. The investors pulled out at the last second. We're over-leveraged, deeply over-leveraged. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of theatrical despair. I didn't want to worry you, but we're in trouble, serious trouble. My heart skipped a beat. How serious? Bankruptcy serious, he whispered. I felt the blood drain from my face. But our savings, my trust fund investments? He reached across the table and took my hand. His palm was cold, clammy. That's what I'm trying to protect. Listen to me, Jen. I've been talking to our lawyers. There's a way to save the core assets, but we have to be smart. We need to separate our liabilities. What does that mean? I need to transfer the title of this house and the liquid savings into a holding company, a protected entity. And we need to sign a post-nuptial agreement, just temporarily, to show the creditors that you aren't liable for my business debts. Once the storm passes, we tear it up. It sounded logical. Complicated, legal, but logical. I wanted to help. I wanted to be the supportive wife who stood by her man during the crisis. Okay, I said, squeezing his hand back. Whatever we need to do. He exhaled, a long sigh of relief. Thank you, darling. You're the only thing keeping me sane. But that night, as he slept beside me, snoring softly, I couldn't close my eyes. Something in his tone hadn't sat right. It was too rehearsed, too perfect. And for the first time in 15 years, I felt a prickle of suspicion. The next few weeks were a blur of tension. Alistair became increasingly irritable. He criticized my spending. If I bought expensive groceries, he'd sigh. If I ordered fresh flowers for the hallway, he'd ask if they were really necessary given our situation. I started feeling guilty for buying coffee. Me, a woman who had brought $500,000 of inheritance into this marriage, felt guilty for a $5 latte. It was psychological warfare, and I didn't even realize I was a casualty yet. The first real red flag waved in my face 2 weeks later. I decided to surprise him at his office downtown. I'd baked his favorite scones, a pathetic attempt to cheer him up amidst this financial ruin. The receptionist, a new girl named Tiffany, looked startled when I walked in. "Mrs. Sterling," she squeaked, jumping up from her desk. We weren't expecting you." "I know, Tiffany. I just wanted to drop these off for Alistair. Is he in?" "He's in a meeting, a very private meeting, with a consultant." "I'll just leave them on his desk then," I said, moving towards the heavy mahogany doors. "Wait," she cried out. But it was too late. I opened the door. Alistair was there. He wasn't working. He was standing by the window, laughing. A woman was standing very close to him. Too close. She was young, perhaps late 20s, with hair the color of spun gold and a suit that fit her like a second skin. She had a hand on his forearm. They jumped apart as the door opened. The laughter died instantly. "Genevieve," Alistair said, his face flushing, I told Tiffany not to disturb us." "I can see that," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, though my insides were shaking. "Who is this?" "This is Serafina," Alistair said quickly, stepping between us. "She's the crisis management consultant I told you about. She's helping us restructure the debt." Serafina smiled. It was a cold, predatory smile. "Pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Sterling. Alistair speaks so highly of your resilience." Resilience. It felt like a backhanded compliment, like she knew something I didn't. "I brought scones," I said, feeling foolish holding the Tupperware container. "Leave them," Alistair said dismissively. "Serafina and I have a lot of numbers to crunch. I'll be home late." I walked out of that office feeling like I had just swallowed glass. A crisis consultant? She looked like she cost a fortune. If we were so broke, how could we afford her? And why was he laughing? People facing bankruptcy don't laugh like that. They don't look at their consultants the way a starving man looks at a feast. That afternoon, I made a call. Not to Alistair, but to an old friend of my father's, a forensic accountant named Octavia. Genevieve. Octavia's voice was raspy from years of smoking, but sharp as a razor. To what do I owe the pleasure? Octavia, I need you to look into something. Alistair says we're broke, but my gut says he's lying. The gut is usually right, honey. Send me what you have. Tax returns, bank statements, anything you can access. He's locked the filing cabinet in the study, I admitted, shame burning my cheeks. He says it's too messy for me to worry about. Break it open, Octavia said flatly. You're his wife, not his employee. Break it open, take photos, and send them to me, tonight. That night was the terrifying turning point. Alistair called to say he was staying at a hotel near the office to maximize work efficiency. I knew he was likely with Serafina. The house was silent. I went into his study. The heavy oak door felt like the entrance to a dungeon. I tried the drawer. Locked, of course. I went to the garage and found a screwdriver and a hammer. I felt insane. I was Genevieve Sterling, a respected member of the community, standing in my pajamas, ready to vandalize my own furniture. Do it, a voice in my head whispered. Do it before you lose everything. I jammed the screwdriver into the lock mechanism and hammered it. The wood splintered. With a loud crack, the lock gave way. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I pulled the drawer open. It was neatly organized. Too organized. I started flipping through files. Tax 2023. Project Riverside. Household expenses. I pulled out Project Riverside. Alistair had said investors pulled out. I scanned the documents. My eyes widened. The project hadn't been canceled. It had been sold. Sold to a shell company called Phoenix Holdings for a fraction of its value. I took photos with my phone, my hands shaking. Then I found a folder labeled medical. That was odd. Alistair was healthy as a horse. I opened it. Inside were receipts, not for doctors, but for jewelry, travel, a lease agreement for a Porsche Cayenne, and then, tucked at the very back, a letter from a lawyer. Not our family lawyer, a divorce attorney. The letter was dated 3 months ago. Dear Mr. Sterling, regarding your inquiry on asset shielding prior to filing for dissolution of marriage, the strategy of claiming insolvency is risky but viable if your wife signs the post-nuptial agreement waiving her rights to business assets. I dropped the folder. The room spun. He wasn't trying to save us. He was trying to rob me. He was planning to divorce me, but first, he wanted to make sure I left with nothing. He wanted me to sign that post-nup to voluntarily give up my claim to the millions we had made, thinking I was helping him save the company. He was going to leave me for Serafina, and he was going to use my own trust and love to leave me destitute. I sat on the floor of the study and cried. I cried for the girl I was at 27. I cried for the 15 years of dinners, holidays, and dreams. I cried until my chest hurt. And then the tears stopped, and something else took their place. A cold, hard rage. A fury so intense it felt like ice in my veins. He thought I was stupid. He thought I was just the pretty wife who picked out curtains and hosted parties. He forgot that I was the one who managed the contractors. I was the one who negotiated the prices. I knew how to build things, but I also knew how to demolish them. I put everything back. I tried to fix the lock as best as I could with wood glue, arranging the splintered wood so it wouldn't be immediately obvious. The next morning, I called Octavia. I have everything, I said. He's hiding money in a shell company called Phoenix Holdings. Good girl, Octavia said. Now listen to me. Do not confront him. Not yet. We need to find out who owns Phoenix Holdings. If he put it in his name, he's an idiot, but he's probably used a proxy. Serafina, I whispered, the consultant. Likely. Act normal, Genevieve. This is the hardest acting role of your life. Be the worried, supportive wife. Let him think he's winning. For the next week, I was an Oscar-worthy actress. When Alistair came home, I massaged his shoulders. You look so tired, darling, I'd coo. Is the bankruptcy proceeding? It's tough, Jen, he'd say, looking me right in the eyes with that practiced sincerity. But if you sign those papers, we might save the house. I just need a few days to read them over, I'd say. You know how slow I am with legalese. He was getting impatient, I could tell. His temper was fraying. The micro-conflicts escalated. He started cutting off my access to credit cards. The bank froze them, he lied. I knew he had done it manually through the app. I had to use my own emergency cash to buy groceries. One evening, I was in the kitchen when his phone buzzed on the counter. He was in the shower. I glanced at the screen. A message from Consultant S. The Cayman transfer is pending her signature. I want that beach house alley. Old had. I stared at the words. I was 42. I took care of myself. I was beautiful. But to them, I was just an obstacle, an old hag standing between them and a beach house in the Caymans. That was the moment I decided I wasn't just going to divorce him, I was going to destroy him. I met with Octavia in a dingy diner on the edge of town, wearing sunglasses and a scarf. We have him, Octavia said, sliding a thick file across the table. Phoenix Holdings is registered in the name of Serafina's mother, but the operating signature is Alistair's. He got sloppy. He linked the backup email to his personal Gmail. What does this mean? It means fraud, Genevieve, massive fraud. Hiding assets during a marital dispute is bad. Hiding assets from the tax man, that's federal prison territory. But here's the kicker. She flipped a page. The money he used to set up Phoenix Holdings, it came from your joint account. He siphoned it out in small increments over 3 years. He's been planning this for a long time. 3 years. He had been stealing from me for 3 years. So what do? You wait for him to present the papers. You let him think you're going to sign. You get him to admit, on record if possible, that the assets are worthless. And then you drop the bomb. Which brings us back to tonight. The front door had just opened. Alistair was walking down the hallway with the notary. I was standing there with the receipt for the diamond necklace I had found in the pocket of his winter coat, the coat he asked me to take to the dry cleaners. He was so arrogant, he didn't even check his pockets. Genevieve? Alistair walked into the living room. He looked impeccable in his navy suit. The notary, a small, nervous-looking man named Mr. Henderson, trailed behind him. I'm here, Alistair, I said, turning to face him. I kept the receipt hidden in my palm. Good, good. Alistair rubbed his hands together. Mr. Henderson has the papers. The post-nup. It just separates our debts. It protects you, really. He placed the documents on the coffee table. Just sign here, and then we can breathe. I looked at the papers. They were a death warrant for my financial life. They stated that I acknowledged Alistair's businesses were insolvent and that I waived any claim to future assets in exchange for keeping my personal jewelry, which, ironically, he had probably already sold or planned to sell. Alistair, I said softly, before I sign, are you sure there's no other way? Are we really that broke? We are, he said, his face twisting into a mask of pain. I've tried everything, Jen. I'm doing this for us. For us, I repeated. And there are no other assets? Nothing we can sell? Nothing, he said firmly. We are destitute. "What about Phoenix Holdings?" I asked. The silence that followed was absolute. It was heavy, suffocating. Alistair's face went blank. The color drained from his cheeks so fast he looked like a corpse. "What?" "Phoenix Holdings," I said, my voice gaining strength. "The company that bought the Riverside project. The company that leases the apartment on 5th Avenue. The company that just bought a property in the Cayman Islands." Mr. Henderson, the notary, looked between us, sensing the shift in atmospheric pressure. He took a small step back. I don't know what you're talking about," Alistair stammered, but his voice cracked. The charm was gone. The monster was peeking through. "Don't you?" I held up the receipt. "This is for a diamond necklace, $80,000, delivered to the apartment leased by Phoenix Holdings. Did you buy this for me, Alistair? Because I don't recall receiving it." "Genevieve, you're hysterical," he snarled, stepping closer. His hands balled into fists. "You've been snooping? You don't understand business structures. That's a client's company." "Is it?" I reached behind a cushion on the sofa and pulled out the file Octavia had given me. Because, according to these bank records, the funding for Phoenix came from our joint savings, and the operating IP address is this house, and the beneficiary is Serafina. Alistair froze. He looked at the file, then at me. His eyes narrowed into slits of pure hatred. "You bitch," he whispered. "You ungrateful bitch." "Ungrateful?" I laughed. It was a harsh, jagged sound. "I built this life with you. I funded you. I loved you. And you called me an old hag to your mistress?" He lunged for the papers on the table, trying to snatch them back. "This is insane! I'm leaving!" "You can leave," I said calmly, "but the police are on their way." He stopped dead. "What?" "I called them 10 minutes ago, not for the divorce, but for the fraud. Tax evasion is a serious crime, Alistair, and since you used my money to do it, I had to report it to clear my own name." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. "You didn't!" he gasped. "I did, and I also sent copies of these files to your other investors, the ones you lied to about the bankruptcy. I imagine they'll be very interested to know where their money went." Alistair looked around the room, frantic, like a trapped animal. He looked at the luxury he was about to lose, the marble, the art, the life. "Genevieve, baby, listen," he started, his voice shifting instantly from rage to begging. "We can fix this. Serafina, she meant nothing. She was just a tool. I used her to hide the money for us, to avoid taxes so we could be rich. It was all for you." It was pathetic. It was the performance of a desperate man. "Save it for the jury, Alistair," I said coldly. The flashing blue and red lights washed over the living room walls, illuminating his terrified face. The next few months were a brutal war of attrition. Alistair was arrested that night for fraud and embezzlement. The battle for property turned into a battle for his freedom. Because I had exposed the fraud and because I had the forensic evidence proving I was a victim of his schemes, the courts were surprisingly swift. The post-nuptial nuptial he tried to make me sign became the smoking gun of his intent to defraud me. Serafina didn't stick around. As soon as the handcuffs went on Alistair, she vanished. I heard she moved to Dubai to find another mark. She didn't get the beach house. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. I got the house. I got what was left of the legitimate assets. Alistair got 5 years in a minimum security prison and a lifetime ban from holding a director's position in any company. But the victory wasn't in the property. I remember standing in the empty manor the day after the divorce was final. It was huge, echoing, and lonely. I realized I didn't even like the marble floors. They were cold. I didn't like the massive windows. they made me feel exposed. I had built this house to impress people I didn't like, with a man who didn't love me. I sold the manor 3 months later. I sold the furniture, the curtains, the memories. With the money, I bought a small, beautiful cottage by the sea, just for me. It has warm wooden floors, a small garden where I grow tomatoes, and a kitchen that smells of real food, not staged dinners. I hired Octavia as my permanent financial advisor. We go out for drinks every Friday. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, reaching for Alistair before I remember. The pain is still there. You can't erase 15 years of love, even if it was based on a lie. But then I hear the ocean outside my window, and I breathe. I learned that the most valuable property you can own isn't a house or a diamond necklace. It's your dignity. It's your intuition. If I had signed those papers, if I had ignored that little voice in my head that said something is wrong, I would be on the street right now, and he would be laughing on a beach with Serafina. Ladies, listen to me. If your husband suddenly claims you are broke, but his lifestyle doesn't change, investigate. If he tries to rush you into signing legal documents for your protection, get your own lawyer. If he calls you crazy for asking questions, ask louder. We are taught to be agreeable, to be supportive, to be the good wife. But a good wife isn't a blind wife. A partnership requires transparency. If he hides his phone, if he hides the bank accounts, he is hiding a part of his life. I am 43 now. I am single. I am not as rich as I was on paper, but I am free. And for the first time in my life, the ground beneath my feet feels solid. Thank you for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to relive those moments. The shaking hands, the feeling of betrayal that felt like a physical blow to the chest. But I share this because I know I am not alone. I know there is someone listening right now who has that same sinking feeling in her gut. Trust that feeling. It is your guardian angel speaking to you. I hope you never have to use a screwdriver to break into your own filing cabinet, but if you do, know that you are strong enough to handle what you find inside. If this story touched you, or if you learned something from my battle, please support this channel. Click the like button. It really helps us share these truths with more women. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story, and hit that bell icon to be notified. And I want to ask you a question in the comments below. If you found out your partner was hiding assets, would you confront them immediately, or would you wait and gather evidence like I did? What would be your first move? I read every comment. Stay strong, stay smart, and never sign anything without reading it twice.